my true honor to introduce Governor Mike Huckabee.
Since Senator Herodopoulos admitted that he's got some Arkansas roots in him, I guess it's only appropriate to share with you something you may or may not know, and that is my wife and I moved to Florida in February of this year. So since he's got some Arkansas in him, we've now got some Florida. Over in the Panhandle, affectionately known by those of us who live there as the Redneck Riviera, which we love very much. But one of the interesting things about my being here today is, people have asked me why. I said, well, because before I even was asked, or anybody asked me who am I going to vote for, I'd already voted. I voted early here in Florida. And when my wife and I went and voted, this was not a tough decision. We knew that there was one candidate who had experience in governing, and he had the principles that matter to us. The belief that government shouldn't get bigger, it ought to get smaller. That government shouldn't get more expensive, that it ought to get more efficient. That if government's going to do something, it ought to do something on behalf of the citizens and to try to create a business environment so that we can get the economy back on track. And that's not the government spending money, it's the government not spending so much money, leaving it in the hands of small businesses and taxpayers so they can put it into the economy, because that's how an economy grows. And I knew that Bill McCollum understood that. It mattered to me that a dear friend of mine, Jeb Bush, also recognized the leadership of Bill McCollum and had supported and endorsed him. I think Jeb Bush is one of the greatest governors America has had in the last 50 years. I think it speaks well of Bill McCollum that when Governor Bush could have easily just said, look, I'm going to stay out of this is a primary. And that's what it's very tempting to do. But folks, when principles are involved, it's important that we take a stand. And for me, principles like knowing that Bill is absolutely pro-life, that he has no apology for that, knowing that whose voting record is consistent with everything that he's campaigning on. Sometimes people really don't have much of a record, so you just have to trust what they're saying. It's a lot better when you can trust what they have done and that they've done it consistently. So I want to make sure my vote counts. I want to make sure my vote's on the winning team. So I'm here today because I really believe that in these troubled times that we face, you need a governor who has the right principles, but also has the right kind of experience. Now, having been a governor 10.5 years, as I was in Arkansas, I might have just a little insight into what the job entails and the kind of qualities that a person needs in order to be effective. Let me just say blunt with you today. The next governor of Florida, for that matter, the next governor of any state, is going to have his hands full. The impact of what's happened in Washington over the past couple of years with increased government spending and debt and obligations are going to bring extraordinary challenges to the states. The effect of Obamacare is going to be staggering to the states. Forget what it's going to do to small business. Let me explain that within 3 years, the fiscal impact on a state's budget is going to be dramatic. That's why I appreciated, even before I really got to know Bill that well and kept up with the campaign, as an Attorney General, I watched his leadership as he led other attorneys generals around the country in standing up with a legal challenge to the implications of Obamacare. That's leadership. That's principled leadership. And it's one of the reasons that when he's the governor for Florida, I'm confident that he's going to have the ability to understand the depth of the issues. And he's not a person who is a credible candidate because he sat down and was able to write a big check. Other people have supported him. Now, whether you consider that a negative or a positive, let me tell you why you ought to consider it a positive. Because his ideas resonate with someone other than himself. And he has been able to cause people across Florida and the country to realize that his leadership is just that. It's leadership. It is a real pleasure for me to be here. I know he's going to be a great governor, but there's another reason to vote for Bill McCollum. I know that Ingrid is going to be a fantastic First Lady.